planting today, and I'm pretty excited. Although I am going to forewarn you, it is supposed to be extremely windy, so I apologize in advance for any kind of sound issues. Nothing I can do about that. The boss has already got the corn planter down at the field we worked first a couple days ago. I'm going to go over there just in case he needs my help, because it's not unlikely that he doesn't have technical issues. And that's what I'm here for. Other than my looks and my brains, also good with computers. Once we make sure that the ExactEmerge planter is squared away, not having any problems with corn, we're gonna get loaded up, and that farm out the window right there to the west is where we will be planting. And that'll keep us busy for quite a while. At this point, I think you can figure it out. I'm gonna move on to greener pastures. Planter looks like it's gonna run fine, barring any unforeseen circumstances. Field looks good condition-wise, and where we're gonna be headed also looks pretty good. We're gonna have the field cultivators finishing it off ahead of us. That way we have a nice, clean, weed-free slate. The first corn seeds we are planting are 116-day maturity channel double pro corn. We have basically none, if very little, rootworm pressure in this area, so we don't spend the money on smart stacks for that added rootworm protection. That being said, 116-day corn is the longest corn we've ever planted, but Chris Heller, our channel guy, claims that it will yield very well and moisture will not be an issue come harvest time. Get ready for the seed tender. There we go. Hey, puppy! Always manage to park something in an inconvenient spot. Hard day to be a dog. Whoop. Almost stepped on your paw. Ah. Whoa! Got it? Yeah, put apart. Side. You're away from the seed tender. Time to load some beans. First up on the agenda are some Asgrow 35XF1 Stinflex beans. It's a 3-5 maturity group, tolerant to dicamba, glufosinate, and glyphosate. Seed tender's full of some as-grow beans. It's warming up outside. I'm sure this ground's drying up. It's gonna be a beautifully windy day to plant some soybeans. It's time. We'll assist on, air conditioner up a little bit more. Let's unfold this thing. Wheels and wings going down. Plant mode. 3-point down. Load the seed up here. Fan should be running. There you go. Seed going to the units. Last thing we do out on the planter is make sure our closing wheels are set to a pressure that we're satisfied with, and our depth is where we want it. The depth on all of them is set the same, but I really can't gauge where it is and where it needs to be until I plant a little bit. With the combination of not fully understanding the increments on the adjustments and where over time affecting those adjustments, you really just got to plant some and figure it out. Now we're going to go to our planter settings. 300,000 is a little heavy. Do 160K. Field, guidance, variety, population. Am I forgetting anything? No, I don't think so. Vacuums. Did them the wrong way. There you go. Just pulling those seeds up against the plates. Now I need to prime the units. I think we're ready for liftoff. Maiden soybean voyage 2021. Or is it 2022? I think it's 2022. I don't know. Whatever year it is, we're starting soybeans right here. Two rows, not planting. 18 and 25. 18 and 25. Remember that. I can't even tell what year it is, let alone what row the planter's bad. Pretty simple fix on this row unit. Whoever put it back together did not seal the plate against the hardware on this side, not allowing the vacuum to be pulled. See, it wasn't pulling the seeds up against it. Once we get it in there, it's seated right, it'll pull that vacuum, that will plant. I would imagine that's the same thing wrong with 18. It does appear so. While we're out here, we're going to do a quick depth check. We don't want these beans deep in the ground, especially with rain in the forecast. Might be an inch, if that. This is worked ground, so if I back off the down pressure on the planter, should pull them out of ground a hair. If that's the biggest issue we have on the first day of planting, it's going to be a pretty darn good day. Yeah. Don't really want to mess with that pressure because it's actually at a decent spot. We go again. And it looks like they're planting. Told you. Simple fix. Just like riding a bike. Hey, there's Jeff. Jeff. He's working some ground for the corn planter. Dad's already about done with this field. Meanwhile, I'm going to be in this field for 5 hours. Must be nice. Looks like you need a little seed to finish it. We got a dust rolling out here. You'll love to see that. Some say plant in the dust, your bins will bust. Other people say plant in the dust, the banker will repossess your house. It's one of the two, I'm not sure which. Katie's over there running the 9460R and the 44-foot field cultivator, working ahead of me to keep me busy for basically the rest of the day. It won't take her too long to accomplish that. When she does get that done, she'll be joining Jeff to the west of us to work corn ground, because that ExactEmerge planter can absolutely chew through the acres. Me, I'm just slow with my little 40-foot planter. 2 sets of inrows around the field. All the nitpicky stuff is done, planter's running fine. Auto steer's taking us through. At this point, I'm just a supervisor. Make sure nothing behind me falls apart. The readings on the monitor look good. And now we're going straight. It's pretty darn windy outside today, though, I'll tell you that. This entire 200-acre field we're planting here is all going to be those Asgrow 35 XF1 soybeans. I believe this is the second year, maybe third year we've planted them. They're extremely, extremely high-yielding bean, racehorse genetics, but also have the ability to go on just about every acre. The 3.5 bean is kind of a middle-of-the-line bean maturity for us. For those of you who are really not familiar with how bean maturity groups are labeled, the first number up front is really the main group of maturity. You can have up to a group 7 or group 8 soybean all the way down south that takes a long time to vegetate. When you're looking at soybean variety maturities, that 3.5 in there is really what indicates how long of day length is going to be required for it to start flowering. That being said, we plant pretty much 3 to 4. That first number is the main group. The second number is kind of a subdivision. So let's say a 3.1 is a shorter season bean, or it will mature sooner than a 3.5. And a 3.5 will mature sooner than a 3.9. But a 4.0 will mature after a 3.9. And on the front end of things, it's the same way. A 2.8 will mature before a 3.0. That's just the way they divide it up. I don't know why. That's what they do. In our area, we go from a 3 to a 4 pretty much. You could go a little earlier than that or a little later. That 3.0 to 4.0 is really going to catch about 95 to 96%, I'd say, of beans planted here in central Illinois. As you go south, they're going to have longer season beans. In the southern United States, they may plant a group 7 or a group 8. And up in the northern United States or even into Canada, they may plant group 0s, or even I think there might be a group 00 bean. Extremely short season, but they have much less growing time than we do. I've talked about it numerous times, but I'll hit on it one more time. The XtendFlex platform was the next in line after the Xtend only platform. Dicamba is a great herbicide, Xtend, but it does have a lot of problems and restrictions when you're applying it. They added the Flex component, which is essentially just glufosinate, so you could kind of bridge that gap. If you couldn't spray Dicamba, you could probably spray Liberty. The issue this year, and it's caused us to back way off of XtendFlex acres, is that Liberty is extremely expensive to spray, shortages all around. It may be the worst herbicide out of all of them. Last year, Liberty might have cost us $13 or $14 an acre for the chemical. This year, the Liberty chemical is easily over $30 an acre if you can find it. Dicamba is not expensive, yet it is challenging in its own right with all the restrictions. So we have bumped up a lot of Enlist acres, which are a Corteva product, and backed way off XtendFlex. It's probably enough soybean lessons for the time being, because we're going to have a lot of days in this cab to explain a lot of different things. That being said, is it even really the first day of planting if you don't take the drone up and get some awesome shots? There's another 90 acres down for the corn planter. I'm still working on this field. Although I have planted 120 acres, so it's not like I'm not accomplishing anything. It's not quite as quick as the exact emerge. Lady and Allie joined me for the first ride of the year when he's figuring out the safety equipment. He had to get a restraining order from the power shift because he kept trying to take it out of gear. He's a grabber. Don't want to throw a wrench in our plans and jinx our luck by any means, but it's actually been a very productive day so far. Dad's knocked out a 57, a 90. He started on a 160 and pretty easily should get another 85 done tonight. I'm going to finish up 220 acres here within the next hour and a half or so. Then I've got a 90 that should plant. I'm much slower, so he'll be done by 5 or 6 o'clock with that amount, and I'll probably be running till 8 or 9. I am about out of seed in here, so I'm going to have to top off 35 XF1s to finish this field, and we'll be going to a different variety. All in all, relatively productive. We've got about the best drying weather you could ask for, 85 degrees. The wind, although very inconvenient for being outside, is extremely convenient for drying out the ground. Neighbors are putting on some anhydrous ahead of their corn. Don't see their planters running. I'd hate to see what that bill is because cash anhydrous right now is like $1,600 a ton. When we put our anhydrous on in the fall, it was $750 a ton. I thought we were getting robbed, but in all reality, we were getting a sweet deal. We are out of seed for the most part, so we're just going to line this up somewhere where it's nice and easy for Chris to pull in with the tender. And now we wait. 4-leaf clover. That's luck or something. Uncle Chris is in charge of gophering around the seed for us all spring. He's phenomenal help, probably the most reliable person here. However, his one flaw, he's just a tad bit slow. Probably should have called him about 20 minutes earlier than I did, but I didn't want to waste his time because he's keeping both planters running. The bean planter runs through beans a lot faster. However, I don't cover as much ground as that in the corn planter. Just for reference, I'm trying to put 165,000 seeds per acre. Dad's putting 34, 35, maybe 36,000 seeds per acre. So about a fifth of what I'm doing. He's also covering twice the ground. He's running a 60-foot planter at 10 miles an hour, or however fast he can pull it. I'm running a 40-foot planter at 8 miles an hour. I can pull it faster, but it doesn't perform as well at those speeds. It's a tad bit windy. Mission accomplished. That is the only negative side effect of completely shutting off the planter while you wait. You gotta reboot it and reprime it. It isn't really that big of a deal, but just like that, we're ready to go again. We got 200 acres of soybeans in the ground currently. It says we have 21 acres remaining, but that's based on the boundary of the field, and I make those a little bit larger than they are. In reality, we've probably got 16 or 17 acres left. Happy with the performance. We're averaging 37 acres an hour, although we have been in the field for quite a while, 5.4 hours. Pretty good average for a 40-foot planter. As is tradition though, we get to play the, are we gonna have enough beans to finish the field game? Seems like that's just what we do out here. I've got my answer. South side there is about empty, and I've still got a couple acres to go, so we're gonna have to get another bag or two. I was just about to move some seed around and Mom showed up. Perfect timing. My amazing mom brought me 2 bags of 35 XF1s to help finish the field, and a couple pieces of coffee cake. What more could you ask for? And it's perfect timing because I was actually getting rather hungry. That, folks, right there is 220 acres of Asgrow 35 XF1s in the ground. About 3 weeks later than I'd prefer. Although, better late than never. And we're just getting warmed up. We're gonna take the planter just right back down the road to Jeff's house, our main farm. I'm gonna get in the seed tender. We're gonna load up some more soybeans of a different variety. We're gonna go right to the south here and plant some more. We're getting pretty close to 7 o'clock, but they've added rain to the forecast earlier than they were expecting tomorrow. It was supposed to be Sunday evening, like later on. Now they've got it starting at 8 a.m. So I figured I might as well work 3 or 4 hours longer, get another 90 acres planted. Unlike the majority of the farming community, I also happen to be a night owl. I'm not an early riser, or at least not a nice one. Never know where you're gonna find the corn planter. Nice shirt.
Huh?
Nice shirt.
Nice shirt, yeah.
What'd you get Dad's blood on you?
No, that's my own.
Here's what we got next on the agenda. Later season bean, sticking with the Asgrow brand. Going with some 40 XF1s. Seeing as I only really budget my water for a 12-hour day, and this one's going to extend a little bit beyond that, I'm going to run into Mom and Dad's here and get myself some water. It's well water, but it'll satisfy me nonetheless. Don't know whether or not this will be enough beans to plant that field. And even if it is, I don't know if I'll be able to fit them all in the tanks. The answer was yes. We do have some untreated beans in here. That's the only loose bags I had available. We needed some small individual bags to get our numbers right. I did my best to blend them in with the treated beans. The Christmas miracle. If everyone could do me a favor and say a quick prayer that nothing breaks down so I can get home in a reasonable time. There's the corn planter moseying over the hill. Gonna be hard to see with the sun setting and the dust flying. Do all my housekeeping before we get started. Switch fields, we're in BC 86. Okay. We're gonna go to document, add variety, new, 40, nope, XF1. Color, we'll do yellow, how about that? Okay, assign variety of rows. Okay, tire planter, yellow, that means it's 40 XF1s. We're shooting for about 150,000 plants per acre. This bean prefers not as thick as we normally go. So I'm gonna set it to 145, and then once I get planting, I kind of plant faster than this planter is capable of. So we get a lot of doubles in there and we end up heavier than what I'm at. So I think if I set it to 145, I may bump it up to like 147. Our final population out of the planter should be around 150,000. Try not to get too close because I don't want to rip down the telephone pole. That's a very peaceful thing to call it. It's not a telephone pole. It is in fact an electrical line, which is even worse. Game time. We're off. Bunch of freaking junk off our lovely old barn. Other than some shingles, most of it has either been worked in or picked up. Could just drive over it, but it wouldn't really feel that great about doing it. I'll save my laziness for tomorrow when it's raining. Hello? Anyone home? Guess not. Would you look who it is? corn planter might be the closest we get to him for the rest of the season, other than when we're forced to grease it. Dad suggested that I work around the power lines in the middle of the field before it gets dark, which is very pragmatic and responsible. Not something I'd normally think to do. Back it up, don't hit anything and F it up. The lights are turned on the corn planter. Dad must not know the secret to running later without turning your lights on. You gotta dim your screens or they'll blind you. If you turn them all the way down, you can actually still see pretty deep into twilight. The other unsung benefit of not having your lights on and not being able to see behind you, you can't have anything wrong if you don't look. That's one trick deer mechanics don't want you to know. My eyes have finally given up on me. That's a lot of light. Wow. Whitney and Allie came for the night shift. They're taking over. I'm going home. Hey! There goes Lenny. His shift ended, and I'm back in control. He did try to take everything, but it didn't work. We're still running flawlessly for the most part. Ground could have been in better shape. Other than that, though, no complaints. Got that rain moving in tomorrow morning, so we're going to finish up this field and call it a night. This was pretty much the last dry field we had. I have no idea what this is. I want to put it in the tractor to get it out of the field, unless it's the carcass of an animal. It's very firm. I'll throw it on the back of the planter. That seems like a safe alternative. Pretty close to the finish line, but I will take this opportunity to get out, use the restroom, and make sure the planter is still in one piece. Seems like it's running fine. Our new lights look great. Nothing too concerning. Unless the meteor hits us, we should be able to finish this field. That's it right there. Finishing up the last pass of this field. Just wait for the swath control to shut off and we're done. Not only is that the last pass of the field, but we're also about an hour ahead of schedule, which never happens. I don't know if I miscounted time or daylight savings time happened or something, but we gained an hour. As you can see and may be confused about, I'm planting right now my way out of the field. The reason being, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. They're calling for rain. I don't know what field I'm gonna go to next, and if we do get rained out, who knows what variety I'm gonna be planting, what herbicide technology or maturity group. And because of that, I wanna get the row units clean. The tanks can be easily dumped, the big CCS tanks. The row units, though, are much more of a pain to get empty. So I've shut the seed delivery fan off. I'm just crisscrossing my way through the field at a low population, planting out the remaining seed out of the row units, and that'll make my life much easier. And that sound right there means it's working. Ideally, we'd like to see rows 1 through 32 not planting, but as long as 95% of them are empty, a few seeds in the rest, it's really not a big deal. It's impossible to be perfect. I just don't want a lot in there that are either going to cause harvesting issues or die when we spray a different herbicide. Maybe I forgot part of the field or something. That's where all the time came from. Let's hit the road. This feels like warp speed after being in a field for 3 hours. Next to the fuel tank seems like a good place to park it so we can refuel it tomorrow. That right there, folks, is the culmination of a 650-acre day combined for both planters. The corn planter, the high-speed exactor merge, could definitely have handled more. he wasn't even running all the day. He skipped a 50 that was too wet, and really, we caught up with dry ground. Not everything's ready to go. Me, though, in the soybean planter, I was maxed out. 300 acres for me is a pretty productive day. That being said, we do have some rain in the forecast tomorrow. That's both good and bad. It's bad because we want to keep planting, but it's good because I planted grass seed in my yard and it's getting kind of dry. The duality of life. No, I'm just kidding. I did plant some grass seed, but I'd much rather have us farming than it come up. Although some of the soybeans we planted were kind of on some cloudier soil that really was worked a little bit on the wet side, so it came up chunky. A rain would definitely help that, but we're looking at cool weather the next week, which unfortunately is not really going to expedite any kind of germination and early growth. That being said, I think it was a good day. Nothing went terribly wrong. All the kinks were already worked out when we got to the field, which is actually pretty surprising. Anywho, I think that's more than enough farming for one video. I appreciate you all tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more. And comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!